You gonna come join me? Come on. You're not missing much. Hi, girl. Bye, girl.
Okay, let's try this.
Hi, if you're new here, my name is Jamilah, and we are in for a very chill vibe this video, which is why I'm sitting on my bed. This is not a video associated with the podcast. This is just kind of like I wanted to sit down and chat for YouTube specifically. Am I gonna cry? I don't think so. We are in August now, and I am just thinking about, this big shift that has happened and is happening. Like, a lot of people were talking to me about it in June, but I don't think I really started registering what was happening until recently, because people love asking me if I'm excited to go back. Girl, I'm still trying to survive summer camp. I think this video might go up after this happens, but it's gonna go up the same weekend, this upcoming weekend. And there's 2 kids that I'm gonna have brunch with, and they are kids that are going off to college in different states. And I was thinking about that and just this transition, and I was like, I gotta talk about leaving high school education. I have some notes that I wrote down, so if it looks like I'm looking down at any point, it's because I'm reading what I wrote, because I really wanted to make sure that I just expressed everything. And this is not me talking about what happened with relationships with my coworkers and that being the reason that I'm leaving, because at the end of the day that truly is. But this is about my kids. At the end of the day, it's about my kids. I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to refer to them as my kids. I'm probably, more than likely, if I remember correctly, supposed to refer to them as students. But really, at the end of the day, they are my kids. The high school that I'm leaving, my favorite class was 3rd block. I would never tell this to their face, but my favorite class was 3rd block. And it was the only interior design class that I had. My other 2 classes were food nutrition. And most of that class was freshmen, and they are all about to graduate. And I'm not gonna be there their senior year. And it is slowly eating me up inside. Either because of my age, my face, I don't know if it's because I'm empathetic, maybe it's just my overall personality, I don't know. But the kids often thought of me as an older sister, or I've been told that I'm a cool aunt. And I understand. And older sister just makes sense because I am an older sister. So that just checks out. But I will say, with going into elementary school, I am hoping that I'm just kind of seen as an actual adult. I can't help my face. I literally can't help my face. Do you want me to stop doing a skincare routine? I don't know what I'm supposed to do to make myself look older. And weave just makes me look younger, period, the end. I don't know what I need to do, but I'm hoping that with switching to elementary, it'll just be a little bit better. So what I did for this video is I came up with a list of 5 really big things that I absolutely loved about working in high school, whether it was as a teacher or as a library assistant. What I think I liked about my transition from teaching to being a library assistant is the fact that I had established a lot of these relationships, and so I was still seen as a teacher. But I think that also has to do with kind of the fact that there was a lack of that presence in the library anyway. The first thing I loved about working with the high school kids is being a shoulder to cry on. Now, I have seen plenty of tears working at the summer camp and the after school program. I have held 4-year-olds. Dang near, this past Monday, I carried a 9-year-old because she hurt her foot. I carried her to the lunch table so she could eat. Elementary level, I've definitely experienced a lot of just tears and things because they're basically babies. But it's not something that I anticipated being in high school. Not to sound crazy, but one thing I learned when I was in high school is that my guidance counselor, I don't know, I always thought when I heard counselor, they are someone that you should be able to go to when you are experiencing emotional or mental distress. But I learned in my high school that that was not the case. And I guess it's just a common thing that even though they have the word guidance and counselor in their title, they are actually more of guidance for your academic path and less of your emotional mental well-being, which okay. I mean, literally one of them I consider my work mom, like love her to pieces. I call her mom all the time. So like, this is not me like attacking her job or anything. It's just something that I realized. And so the kids as well, like working in the high school, kind of realized that too, or they just didn't have as great of a relationship with their guidance counselors. And so it felt nice that I was able to be a shoulder for them to cry on. And on a high school level, it was just more of a rarity for the kids to need that, especially where I worked. I mean, they were like doing everything they could to look and maintain being tough. And sometimes they just simply crashed, and they crashed on my shoulder. And it made me feel whole. It made me feel good. It made me, not to sound like their sorrow brought me joy. That's not what I mean. But when I say it brings me joy, I mean that I am someone that they felt comfortable enough to lay it all out on, to lay whatever they were feeling, to lay whatever was bothering them, lay their burdens, like lay it out on. And I'm proud of myself and my growth because I didn't harbor it. I didn't hold on to it. I simply was there and I let them let it out. I mean, there were some very intense tears from some students. Like they were just big and bold, and they were holding and holding and holding, honestly doing what I do sometimes, and just letting it build until they exploded. And I was happy that they trusted me to kind of be there during the explosion. Another thing I loved about my position and being with the high school kids is there is such a like stigma and reputation that these classes that have been graduating, like class of 24, 25, 26, even class of 27, because they're not, these classes that have been graduating, believe it or not, are still Gen Z. And as someone who was born in 99 and I am of the same generation, it's blowing my mind a lot. It's blowing my mind a lot. They are still Gen Z, and they have developed this reputation for some reason of just like not reading. And yes, there is very much so a literacy crisis. It's there, it's prominent, it's big, it's loud, it's bad. It's very, very bad. But one thing I have learned over the couple of years being in the library is that kids do still read. And this past year, I want to say, was just a little bit better than even the previous year. I loved it. I loved being there and witnessing it. It was very prominent, of course, with like the book club that I started. Like kids want to read and talk about the books. I mean, that was great. I know I said I wouldn't talk about like the relationships that, like the coworker relationships that kind of aided in me leaving, but I will say something that it's going to take me some time still to get over, is the fact that my book club quickly became not mine. It'll take a while to get over. Absolutely. And I was doing okay with like healing from that and all those stupid emails, and you didn't fight me on this and and you didn't like counter this, blah blah blah. I'm not going to counter something when the person who's writing it isn't worth it. But not too long ago, I was at Hobby Lobby with my friend, and I actually ran into one of the kiddos that I like really was trying to like not push necessarily, but was really hoping to join the book club because it was her freshman year last year. And so I told her that I wasn't returning, and the shock and like mild hurt on her face kind of reminded me like, oh yeah, I started something that doesn't get to be mine anymore. And at some point I knew I was going to leave the school anyway, but with the way that it happened and the side effect of the kids being affected, especially in the book club, it just like hurt. It sucks, to be just very real. It sucks. That book club, and then just like this past year, I had a lot of conversations about books that I had read that the kids had liked, and it just showed me like kids do read if they have the time. And I even talked to some kids that were like, man, my eyesight's a little bad, but it was recommended that I just stay off my phone less, so I started like reading books again. A concept. And sometimes it takes kids coming to these conclusions on their own, and that's okay, but they made it, they got there, and I'm happy for them. It warmed my heart to know that, yeah, there's this reputation, yes, there's a literacy crisis, but books aren't dead. The desire to read also isn't dead, because there's some kids that I know that wanted to read, but I remember one kid being like, the words are just a little too complex for me. He didn't say the word complex, he said hard, but I understood what he meant. And I'm hoping that with being in elementary school and kind of just being on that like beginner level and beginning stages of life, I'm hoping that I can kind of aid in their literacy, so when they do reach high school level, it's not, you know, there's no, oh, I can't read that word or I can't read this word. Like, I'm really hoping that I am able to play a role in just making things a little bit better. The third thing that I loved was being the voice of reason. It's not something that I was like, oh, I'm gonna actively seek this out, but it's something that I ended up kind of really having to do for the betterment of the child. And I was happy to serve the children multiple times. A specific group of kids were consistently targeted, and there was quite a few times when it was unjustified. If I'm there in that moment and I'm seeing a kid close to being sent to like ISS or verbally scrutinized or whatever the case may be, I'm going to step in and help, because knowing those kids and knowing those kids, the kids of the race that I'm talking about, I'm sure you can guess, they got tired, and they get tired of being the group that is immediately scrutinized, immediately getting like the harshest punishment. Like, they are quite frankly over it, and I get it. I'm not a student, but I'm a Black person in America. I freaking get it, okay? And so because the kids are tired of it, they immediately resort to verbal sparring with an administrator. I'm talking about these things are happening like with an administrator. There were many times where I would hop into the defense of the child before the verbal sparring can begin to defend the child. And if it did come down like a dress code thing or whatever the case may be, I would just kind of like guide the child, but I would do my best to de-escalate any potential situation. Not for the member of admin who's ready to, you know, send the kid out of school for 3 days of OSS. No, I'm doing it for the kid. If I can de-escalate a potential situation with a member of authority, then I feel good. I've given that kid an opportunity to receive the education that I know that they desire. But a lot of people in authority didn't know that those kids desired it because they didn't even really make an effort to know the kids. Okay, the fourth thing I loved about working at a high school and high school education, it's probably the hardest thing to cope with saying goodbye to, but I loved being there as they transition into adulthood. I'm talking prom, college acceptances, graduation. Prom, I actually thoroughly enjoyed designing and working on prom. I think I would have liked it even better at a different school, to be honest. It fed the part of me that like loves interior design, because even though it's not a career field that I would like to actively work in, it is a hobby that I enjoy doing. And it fed that hobby in me, and it fed the girl who loves DIY and who loves, oh, we can do that but not spend a ton of money, let's go this route with it. It fed the part of me that loves to see the kids involved in school and watching people appreciate the work that they do. Prom is kind of that first big thing that the kids like, you know, oh my goodness, we're about to graduate. And then of course there's graduation, which I emotional wreck every year. I will forever and always probably be an emotional wreck. Although I think when I watch the class of 2027 graduate, that'll be the last graduation that I go to as far as like, you know, high school wise and everything. I feel like graduation kind of starts that transition, and it's like you're saying goodbye. You're saying goodbye to a routine that you've known since you were like 4 or 5. But you're also saying hello to like life, and being there as they gear up for graduation and all the things they have to do, because the high school that I worked at was so complicated with some of these things, like senior picnic, senior awards day, all this other jazz. Complicated for no reason. So, complicated for no reason. Prom tickets, complicated for no reason. Just to be there to guide them through it and guide them through the complications of it all and help them like take it all just step by step, because it does get so overwhelming at the end of the year, I loved it. When they get accepted into like the college that they like dream of going to, or whatever the case may be, and they come and tell me, it makes me so happy. The excitement on their face makes me excited. It makes me so proud. I love being proud of them. I'm no one's parent, but it almost feels like I'm a parent in that moment, because I've watched the work, I've watched the fight, I've seen the almost tears, I've watched you struggling to see the board from the back of the room, but you're not going to move up because you don't want people looking at the back of your head. Like, I've seen it all, and it just makes it all seem worth it. I know I said I'm no one's parent, but the fifth thing I loved about working at a high school, especially the one that I did work at, is that I liked being the adult figure that someone needed. Because of the demographic of the school, some kids truly did not have a good, solid parent figure. They didn't have someone to support them, encourage them, look out for them. Like, they just didn't have that. And because of the relationships that we built, I was able to be that for some people. And apparently I still am able to be that for some people, because why have kids been emailing me over the summer? Why am I getting DM'd over the summer? Now, at the end of the day, I'm really only a parent to Clover, my dog. So she's number one priority. And when I have my own kids someday, they of course will be my number one priority. But the thing about working in education, and depending on how your heart is set up, one thing that just really, kind of gets you to keep coming back is the love that you develop for the kids. And just demographically, it's that kind of parental support that you become for the kids. But like, not parental in the way that I'm like, oh, you're grounded and like, you're getting a whooping. Like, it's really nice to show up and be supportive, but then it's kind of like that really cool aunt vibe where like, okay, you're getting on my nerves and giving you back to your actual parent. Like, that's kind of the energy that I liked being for these kids. Do I think that I will end up back in a high school? At some point, yes. Like, someday I fully foresee me just returning to high school education, but it'll never, like, ever be the school that I left. And honestly, I'm hoping it's a school that's not like it. That would be great. It is very hard to leave. Although I will say I'm very excited about setting up like a book fair. I haven't had a book fair in so long. I'm about to itch the right part of my brain with this book fair. And like, I've been told that I'll help with like remediation as far as reading and math. And I'm a sucker for math. I don't know. I'm so torn. I'm so excited for the future and whatever this upcoming school year holds in a completely different school. But I'm also just like, I'm gonna miss high school. Not me going to high school, but I'm gonna miss just like working in a high school. Actually, speaking of me going to high school, my class can't even figure out if they're gonna do a 10-year reunion next year. And if you went to high school with me, I'm gonna need y'all to lock in and figure it out, okay? As one of the valedictorians, just let me know what I need to contribute, but like also reach out to the other valedictorians. Please and thank you. I know that this is the right move for right now. And as much as I love working in high school and high school education, I also know that my next place just is elementary. And at some point, like I said, I may return. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that kids don't know about. And if you work in education, whether it is library assistant or teacher, freaking custodian, cafeteria worker, classified or certified staff, like whatever your position is, no matter high school, middle school, elementary school, that there is stuff that the kids don't know about that happens behind the scenes. And sometimes it's just tough. And I fully anticipate and believe that's why a lot of people leave education. And so at the end of the day, it becomes, what can you endure, right? Can you endure it for the kids? I endured it for a year and a half for the kids. And now I'm gonna go somewhere else. And unfortunately, you can't escape drama and unnecessary stuff, but I'm gonna try my absolute hardest. If you stayed into this point in the video, you're absolutely insane, but I love you for it. Thank you for sitting down with me and listening to me chat or watching this video while you crochet a plushie. I hope it's so cute. And I guess I'll see you super, super soon. I have no video planned for after this, so I'm excited to see what my imagination comes up with. I am very, very excited. But anyway, I will talk to you super, super soon. Thanks. Bye.